Thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode.
The road to El Dorado. Welcome to Guilty Pleasures.
How you guys? What am I saying? What's up? How you doing? This is so weird to not have somebody screaming on my left side.
We have no Kelsey today. We do have Bowie in the guest chair.
Yeah.
He'll be. I imagine he'll find a time to chime in because this is one of his favorite movies.
Yeah, it is.
We're talking about The Road to El Dorado.
Fuck yes.
2000. The year 2000 DreamWorks classic.
The year of our Lord.
This is a movie that when I tell you, I don't think I had seen it in 24 years.
Really?
I saw it.
You saw it?
I had the Burger King toys.
Yeah. I also had the Burger King
Plays
toys.
a big role in my life.
Yep. We had the bull. Yeah. We got the bull. And like, it was really weird to just have this random bull that was just like sitting around the house and you're like, wait, what movie did this come from? And
I had the armadillo was a mainstay in my house.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
You pulled his tail and he vibrated.
Uh-huh.
And when I tell you that I expected him to be the main character of this movie,
and he absolutely wasn't. But he did come in clutch, so I can't be mad at that.
This was a movie that I looked back. It was not a box office hit.
No.
It was not a critical hit.
No.
It came off the heels of DreamWorks doing Prince of Egypt, and it was seen as this lesser than movie. I'm gonna tell you, this movie rips.
It rips.
It was a blast to watch.
It fucking ripped, and it makes you miss a time of just straight up 2D animation where people were like sitting down and just drawing their art and drawing like animatics and all of that stuff. I fucking love this movie. I love this movie so much.
You've got Kevin Kline, you've got Kenneth Branagh, you've got a soundtrack from Elton John. Oh, I'm sorry, Rosie Perez.
Yeah, Rosie Perez is in there.
Motherfucking Perez.
Yeah.
You've got a soundtrack from Elton John. You've got beautiful animation. You've got musical numbers with impressionistic drawing and changing colors and changing shapes. You've got a lost Aztec city. Do you want to should we get into the synopsis?
Let's get into the synopsis so we can fucking jump into this glorious film.
Tulio and Miguel are two of the little rascaliest rascals that Spain has ever seen. They're liars. They're thieves. They play with loaded dice, and they find a map. Well, they win a map that has the lost treasure, a map to El Dorado, the promised city of gold.
Yeah.
They find themselves washed up on an island, and they meet the Aztecs. The Aztecs think they're gods. There is Jekyll Khan, who is their mystic leader, who believes that these gods are foretold to come and lead the people. And Miguel and Tulio, being the lies and cheats that they are, they go along with the plan. Yeah. Meanwhile, you have Chell, who's a little bad girl she's a little baddie bad girl.
Yeah.
She's running away. And
she's just from the Bronx. She for whatever reason is just Rosie Perez from New York. And she immediately gets the scheme. She hears what they're talking about. She overhears them saying like, "Oh, we're not gods" and all that stuff. And she was like, "All right, I want in." And it's like, yeah, okay, sorry. Jump in.
I'm glad you did. And then Edward James Olmos, the great from Battlestar Galactica, as the Chief.
Chief Tani?
Chief Tani, man.
Chief Tani? Chief Tully?
Meanwhile, there's the evil Cortez who's hot on their trails. And we know that Cortez is a bad dude. He wants to find El Dorado for himself.
Oh my God.
Will Tulio and Miguel be caught? Will Chell come between them as friends? Will Tezel Khan take over El Dorado? And will they be able to save El Dorado from the evil Cortez? This is The Road to El Dorado.
Oh my God. Okay, so the way that this movie shaped a good chunk of my childhood is an understatement.
I want to hear it.
Because, okay, so I was raised Seventh-day Adventist, so like...
What does that mean?
They're basically Christian Jews. Oh. So they, recognize the Sabbath and all of that stuff. So on like Friday nights, we don't do anything.
Oh, that sucks. It's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, the worst of both worlds.
You got the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, it's like a reverse Miley Cyrus. Is that
Bible and Torah.
A reverse Hannah Montana. Like, I just have black hair the whole time. But
wow, so Old and New Testament.
Yeah, Old
Rough.
and New Testament. And so that's a lot of rules that you got to follow. But yeah, on Friday nights, we couldn't do anything secular. Friday to Saturday night. And so this movie coming off the heels of Prince of Egypt,
which is such a banger.
Fucking the way. All right, so Prince of Egypt.
I'm sorry to derail.
To derail. Prince of Egypt is just when we're talking about soundtracks for Spirit, and everybody was like, "Oh, there's no way that Tarzan has a better soundtrack than Spirit." First of all, you're wrong. You're wrong, because the only one that is comparable is Prince of Egypt's soundtrack.
That movie is so good.
So fucking good.
And I think it's part of why this movie was received poorly. But we'll circle back there.
We'll circle back. You're definitely coming off the heels of like an absolute banger. And those are big shoes to put yourselves in. Big shoes to fill. But because the road to El Dorado, and we couldn't see anything secular or watch anything secular or anything like that, because the road to El Dorado looks like Prince of Egypt, we would just kind of sneak in the road to El Dorado after Prince of Egypt.
Whoa.
And so like if my parents came in, we were like, oh, we're just watching the same thing, and it's just kind of lie. Like just double down.
You lied to your parents and you lied to Jesus.
I lied to Jesus.
On the Sabbath.
On the Sabbath. Yeah, double down on
Good
some like
for
some bad
you.
shit. Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
wow,
of the world.
Because of Prince of Egypt, you were allowed to watch this pretty wacky comedy.
Yeah, pretty wacky comedy and pretty consistently. Because I've seen Prince of Egypt so many times, and I've seen The Road to El Dorado so many fucking times.
We have to do a Prince of Egypt.
We got to do a Prince of Egypt. There's a song on Prince of Egypt that is a literal part of like my liked song, like my top 100 songs that I just have on my phone. It's all right. Anyway, sorry.
I keep meaning to introduce this as such, but we're in the middle of hot animation summer.
Yeah,
this is we're loving animated movies this summer. We didn't really mean to program it this way, but we're leaning the heck in.
Yeah, we are. And I'm very grateful for it. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, but like the Road to El Dorado, like the timing of jokes, I still hold dear. The types of jokes I still hold dear. The types of jokes that I like go for in scripts are still from this fucking movie. Like it's insane to rewatch it and realize that a lot of like my comedic stylings, I guess, are from this movie.
Your comedic DNA.
My comedic DNA is
fun to see.
Yeah, The Road to El Dorado.
So the reasons that I think are why this movie was poorly received, right?
Yeah.
One, it's coming off the heels of Prince of Egypt. We've talked about that now 3 times.
Yeah.
That is an all-timer movie.
Yeah.
And so DreamWorks is being judged against itself.
Yeah.
This is 2 years later, and I get it. Yeah, no, this is not as breathtaking a film as Prince of Egypt.
No.
It's a comedy, and it's a fun one at that. But also there's the Elton John factor. Elton John, I think in a vacuum, this is an exceptional soundtrack. It is fun. It is a blast. But then you are once again comparing it against itself. Elton John had, 6 to 8 years earlier, done The Lion King, which is one of, if not the best animated soundtracks of all time.
Yeah.
So you go, well, this is not as breathtaking a film as Prince of Egypt. The soundtrack is lesser Elton John compared to itself. All of that, I think that sucks. It's unfair.
It is unfair. It is unfair to rate it against it's like its older brothers, I guess. Yeah. It's a sibling rivalry, sure, but like now that people can just go back and watch it without that like added weight to it, I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it because it's such a good and fucking bright time. And then it also there's moments in it that are now a part of like the DreamWorks DNA as far as I forgot I think it was during the musical number of like Let's Be Gods.
My favorite musical number in that. I wrote a lot of notes about it.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. But I don't know, as that magical realism starts, I guess, and it starts to go into like really like Pantone colors or like really neon-y colors, and you get like the impressionist sides of things. That stuff I feel like is sprinkled all over their latest masterpiece, which is Puss in Boots and The Last Wish. I feel like that's like become that type of like just let's just cut to an aggressively colored sequence is all through Disney's DreamWorks' DNA right now. It's cool.
The animation in this movie is great. I think it is a testament to animation as a medium and why sometimes things should be animated. Right. I have not seen the live action Little Mermaid movie, but I was recently at Disney, and so they play music videos the whole time. And so I finally saw some scenes from that movie. Right. And seeing how they slaughter my boy, like the way that Under the Sea looks is so hurtful to my soul. And then you see a movie like this, which is a forgotten movie from the year 2000, and you have a musical number like It's Tough to Be a God, and they are doing it. Just to me, that is a case study for why the live action remakes should not exist. It's colorful, it's psychedelic, it's fun, it's wildly and purely animation. Soon after that, you have this transition from the chief smiling to a skull. It's like a crossfade from one face, then to a skull, and then a boot crushes the skull. Right. And then it pans up to Cortez. You could do that in live action, but I don't know if you could do it as well. Right. And this movie from top to bottom has just such fun, lush animated sequences. Even the way that it opens, you know that you are in good hands. I was watching, expecting to be like, okay, whatever, I'll put this on, I'll answer some emails on my phone. I did the lean forward meme.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you had to fucking lock in.
I locked in because it starts with, first of all, they are fun characters.
Yes.
Let's talk about Tulio and Miguel.
Yes, absolutely. Oh no, they're so fun. Like it is the classic. I'm the one with the plan, and you're the charming one that follows my lead. And they're
you have Miguel self-scoring with a guitar.
It's so fucking funny.
While they're talking, he's ding 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 ding.
Oh my god! And
that's charming.
That opening scene where he gets given the non-loaded dice, and so now they have to like play fair. And just watching Miguel play the guitar in the background, and he's just like I can't do the face because we're in audio medium, but just his face in the background is so fucking funny. It's so ridiculous. He looks so serious the whole time, as he like wipes the back of the screen in the background.
You talk about like the lean in moment, the lock in moment, and it leads to this chase scene through the city, and where they climb up. They do this fight. It's this recurring bit they do where they pretend that they're super mad at each other, and it's just their way to create distraction so they can both get out. Right. They hop over a wall and they're in front of a bull. What follows is a really great opening action sequence. Yeah. You have the bull slam into a fence that they're on, which pushes them up against the wall. They slide down. They're running. And what I think makes them so irresistible as characters is that they're rascals. Yeah. They disobey the law. Yeah. They disobey the criminals.
They disobey Spain as a whole. Fuck Spain.
They spit at Spain. The world is their playground, and they take nothing seriously. Yeah. As a kid, that is the most irresistible a character can be. You say these people, the rules don't apply to them, and everything you see, they can jump, they can leap, they can crawl, they can stow away. They don't follow any rules whatsoever.
Yeah. I think, like, because I latched so hard onto these characters as a child, I don't like Spain. And that's like, I know that's a harsh thing to say. I feel like I have nothing against the Spanish, but I just know that one, they were after my boys Tulio and Miguel, and then two, they made El Dorado inaccessible to the public. And so now I'm like, well, then if they're, like I don't like Cortez, I don't like Conquistadors.
Well, you shouldn't like Cortez. He's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's an absolute bad guy. I remember reading about him or learning about him in social studies, and I was just like, this is a fucking bitch from El Dorado. But yeah, I because I love those characters so much, watching them be against the law, I was like, okay, so then I should be against whoever the governing body is, and in this case, it is the Spanish.
So I've had so many subscriptions that I signed up for that I completely forgot about, and then I just get a bill for like $20, which is pretty much my entire life savings. Most Americans think that they spend about $62 per month on subscriptions, but honestly, that number is closer to $300 a month. Thankfully, there's Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is submit a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/guilty. That's rocketmoney.com/guilty. rocketmoney.com/guilty.
Also, weird fact, little fun fact, El Dorado, where it was supposed to be, is like somewhere in South America, and it's like along the Amazonian River, so like kind of Brazil, Colombia, and Guyana, where my parents are from, or where my mom is from. And so like whenever you see a Guyanese person, they have so much gold on them. And so because of this whole like, oh, our country, you know, we would like see however many rivers that were there or whatever. Like I believe one of the towns is like, it's named after, or Guyana is like named after like the place of many rivers or something like that. But anyway, rivers, people pan for gold all of the time over there, and they get like so much, like mass amounts. And so it's really fun to like see Guyanese people and then see how much gold they have on them, and then also sad because I don't know about now, but like it is a little third worldy. Yeah.
This movie does an interesting and delicate dance with colonialism, right? This is the era of Cortez. We know that Cortez went to the Americas, led to the slaughter of thousands of people, wiped out the Aztecs, is a bad, bad guy.
Yeah.
But we're doing this in the context of an animated movie.
Right.
So El Dorado is this mythic place. We know historically that it does not end well for the native people there.
Yeah.
But it wants to have its fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how to land this plane here and discussing it.
No.
But you're watching it, it kind of hangs over your head the whole time of like, this isn't going to end well.
There's no way that it can. And yeah, especially knowing what Cortez did and going back and watching this movie, you're like, there's some added fear to that, you know, to him finding this beautiful place and these like loving people and whatnot. But yeah, you know, more power to the person that was just like, you know what we should do? We should make a movie about Cortez not finding El Dorado. Like, let's do that. And then there was also this one scene where he's just like, you know what? You're a stowaway. You guys are going to be flogged. And then we're going to reach Cuba. And then you're going to be flogged some more. And you're going to be slaves. And I was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, Cortez. And then Miguel with the ever so punchy, oh, cool, Cuba. So good.
This is such a dumb non sequitur, but I was thinking recently about the first colonizers coming to the Americas and then going back to Europe and being like, you guys, I found this city of gold. This place is amazing. The weather is beautiful. Like they're talking about the Bahamas, right?
They're talking about the Bahamas.
Like it's like this place, you are not gonna fucking believe it.
Right.
And then they go back. Next ship comes over. They land in Boston.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck were you talking about?
Yeah.
This is literal hell.
This sucks.
This sucks.
I don't even like the Celtics. You know, they're like everybody here is mean. You know, they all talk about fucking Dunkin' Donuts the whole time. I hate it over here. Yeah, that is really crazy that they just got lost that hard that they landed in Boston.
Imagine you're booking a trip.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, family's going to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And then you accidentally get on the wrong plane. You end up in Worcester.
Yeah, right. Just fucking townies. That's pretty fucking crazy. They were really bad. They were so bad. Christopher Columbus was awful at his job.
Yeah. Fuck you,
Jesus.
Chris. You hear us? You hear that?
Yeah, I hope he hears
You
us.
hear that?
I hope he hears us.
I don't know where to start. Okay, I want to just tell you real quick. So the soundtrack
Yeah. Rips. Hard.
I have, for the last 20-something years, deluded myself into believing in a song that didn't exist. And I was waiting. There's a song in my head from this movie. Mm-hmm. I sang it at the top of the episode. Mm-hmm. I can hear it in Elton John's voice. I can hear the chord progression.
Yeah.
It's not in this film.
It's not in this film.
And it's just him going, "The road to El Dorado."
Oh, no, that's not in this movie. That's not in this movie at all.
Dorado.
Maybe it's like a credit song?
No, I watched the whole credits.
You watched the whole credits.
I was waiting. I tell you, I sing this song.
Yeah.
Pretty frequently it gets stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Was it like a riff on a live performance that he did, maybe? No. Okay.
Stop trying to justify
I'm really trying to help, man.
My brain is just broken.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. It can't come out of nowhere unless you're from a different dimension and we're being our dimensions have
crashed
at some point, and this is a Mandela effect. Thank you so much, Rainie.
I just real quick, we'll get into out of the beginning, but the first act has what might be the best Save the Horse I've ever seen. Sorry, Save the Cat.
Yeah.
So Save the Cat is this. It's somewhat of a hokey screenwriting rule, but that if you want us to like a character, have them save a cat. And the idea is that if you see your character doing a good thing, we're gonna like them. Yeah. So we've seen that trope a million times. See a character save an animal, but what this movie does, which is great, is they have this horse. They have this goofy horse that Garrick had as a toy.
Yeah. No, I had the bull.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had the horse. You had the bull.
Yeah.
And the horse he's like a dog. They throw an apple from him, and they have this goofy shenanigan where they're
Alturo, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Alturo, you think?
Altivo
the horse. And so they're trying to like quietly escape on a boat. Mm-hmm. But they're like, oh, we should give the horse an apple. And you're like, nah, these guys are good guys. I like them.
Yeah.
And that could be it. That could be the end of the scene. But instead, the save the cat moment turns into antics, turns into shenanigans, which forever changes the course of the plot.
Yeah.
So they throw the apple up into the air. Yep. It bounces, doink, 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 and goes overboard. The horse jumps overboard. They're now like, we gotta save this fucking horse.
Yeah.
The horse tips the boat over, and then a big ship comes, and the waves rock them, and they have this beautiful shot where they go
my God,
underwater,
and then in the air pocket of the boat, which is very stunning.
Yeah.
To watch water bounce off of wood, that was it was a very cool sequence.
It's like all of a sudden you have like a breathtaking moment of animation where almost like the sound cuts out too, and you're just underwater, back to action scene. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But it's just such a smart piece of writing to have what could be such a throwaway of like, how are we going to make people like these characters? We've shown that they're liars and cheats. Obviously, they're funny, but like, let's show that they're good people too.
Right.
Their good deeds go punished, and then creates the thrust that brings them to the island, that creates the plot. Yeah. I just thought that was really
clever. It's
clever.
just so sick. Yeah, it's really good. I also like, just going back to the animation side of things, this is what capitalism stole from us. You don't understand. Like, because we now have access to easier methods of animation being, computer generated, although it has gotten really, really good. Because of that, like I feel like the wonder of watching somebody draw all of this stuff and making them be extremely, extremely meticulous with, like the underwater scene. That type of breathtaking stuff doesn't like come across. What is going on with my fucking voice? It doesn't come across as often anymore because nobody's like if you were to draw something back then, you're like, no, I have to get this on screen. I am doing all of this work because I need this to be articulated in a visual way.
And you see that in little moments in between too. There's this one montage when they're getting to El Dorado.
Right.
They're following the treasure map.
Yeah.
And there's this one shot where they're crossing a log. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Giant waterfall behind them. Light being inexplicably projected from beneath them. And so it's casting these giant shadows on the waterfall. It is stunning.
It's fucking stunning.
Like, it is print that, frame that, put that on my wall.
Right.
They did not need to go this hard.
Yeah. And I think that's what I love so much about 2D animation is that nobody has to go this hard. Nobody has to go that hard. Even like, I mean, I'm skipping ahead here a little bit, but like the scene where Sheko Khan is the Jaguar and they're watching him we're watching him control it, and
he gets a
giant stone Jaguar. He uses this giant stone Jaguar that he is controlling to like break down a bridge that it's stuck under or in, or like some type of rubble that's in between it and Tulio and Miguel, and like it like breaks free, and then it cuts consistently between Sheko Khan, who's controlling the Jaguar, and the Jaguar doing the motions that they're like he's matching or whatever. Like that scene in and of itself, I feel like is awesome in like a animation sense. And it's also like why did you have to go this hard? You really didn't. You could have just chilled a little bit, but for whatever reason, art.
I think we've talked too long without hitting on Chell, the true star of this film.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want a movie with a female character defined primarily by her sexuality and being conniving? Check, you got it.
Yeah.
This is a reductive view of women, but she's fun.
Yeah, she's fun, and it's the original challengers, as we've already joked about. I feel like
you have Miguel and Tulio. I fully remembered there being more of a full love circle. What it actually is Tulio and Chell basically hook up immediately.
Yeah.
But I will say Chell is looking at both them boys naked.
Yeah.
And then Miguel and the Chief, I think I got a little something going on.
Yeah.
I think they were romancing. I saw it. This movie's too sexy.
Yeah. It's a little too sexy.
It is. And like, I know we talk in every episode like, oh, that's a hot horse. I bet Spirit, the stallion of the Cimarrons, hung and whatever.
Yeah. Well, he's a horse. So
he's a horse. Of course he's hung.
He has to be hung.
We talk about how Shrek can get it.
Yeah.
We talk about, look, I get it. I know I've listened to this show too. We sexualize things when maybe they don't need to be.
Right.
This movie's too sexy.
It's sexy. It's sexy. Absolutely. It just is.
The animators saw the subtext that Disney was doing, where like in The Lion King, when they tussle, there's a dust of cloud and it says sex. Yeah. And they said, hold my beer. Yeah. I'm going to make a movie about fucking and sucking.
Yeah, fuck you.
It is, okay, first of all, Chell.
Yeah.
As a character is drawn barely wearing clothes.
Yeah.
And there are shots of her where she's like, there's one shot of her.
Yep.
Where she's fully in this scene. The text of the scene is that she's trying to seduce Tulio.
Yeah.
That is what the scene is about. This is after we have seen Tulio and Miguel naked twice in the film.
Yep,
we get to see their cheeks out.
Yeah.
We also get to see their what's the word besides cum gutter?
Cum gutters? Cum gutters.
I don't know what else to call that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. The V muscle?
The V muscle?
Yeah.
So I whispered it so it didn't seem so gross.
Yeah.
But we've seen that, and we see her checking it out.
Yep.
There's a scene where like they've both decided, Tulio and Miguel, like we're not gonna be distracted. We're doing a con, can't be distracted. And then she's like, Miguel, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then she's trying to seduce Tulio. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, maybe later. She says, quote, too bad. I'm free now. And they shoot her. She's sitting on a couch. They shoot her from behind. And they show like the small of her back gesture and articulate. And she like looks over her shoulder. It's too sexy of an animation.
Yeah.
As I was uncomfortable watching it. I was uncomfortable because it was effective.
Mm-hmm. I was uncomfortable looking back on it because as a kid, I'm just like, wow, that's a woman. Wow. Anyway, but it's uncomfortable now because I know that there are so many people who are now adults that grew up with this movie and are just now cosplaying as her. And so I'll just, you just scroll through Instagram and then this is real now. This is a person now, I feel.
You're doing the chill.
Yeah.
There's a line where he goes, "I'm not sure that I can trust you." This is the same seduction scene. And she goes, quote, "I'm not really asking you to trust me, am I?" That is some of the sexiest writing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This movie is Challengers.
Yeah, it is.
But I think that Tulio is the Zendaya.
Oh.
I think that the love triangle is between him and Miguel and Chell, and he's kind of the nexus point.
Right. He's the one that they both want. Okay. But does Tulio make them a better
that's a great point.
tennis player?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
They both make him better at being a god, maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't really fully thought this out.
Right.
I did want the title. I wanted the title of the episode to be that Road del Dorado was the original Challengers.
Yeah.
We may still make it that.
No, it's still that. It's got to be that. Because it is a love triangle. It is, making you a better, whatever the fuck. Or making you better friends, or realizing that, we should love each other more. I don't know. But the love triangle aspect of it still makes it Challengers.
I'm not ready to be done talking about how this movie is too sexy.
Yeah.
there's no real way to beat around the bush. Tulio gets a blowy.
Yeah.
There's really no way to. You see them do this thing. Chell
rises from his hip. Yeah.
I think it's either rises or disappears to his hip.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a shot of him and he goes, "Awooga."
Yeah.
Like he makes a wowza sound.
Right.
And like his eyes roll to the back of his head.
And it's so funny as a kid. You're like, oh, she's probably just rubbing his feet.
Oh, right. No, it's a back rub.
Yeah. The back rub. The back rub.
Yeah.
The back rub scene. I thought you were talking about like the scene when they were making out, and I was just like, okay, so yeah, there is a part where she like kind of is lower. And comes up.
I may be conflating the two in my memory.
The back rub scene. He's like so happy that he's touching the shoulders of a young miss that he makes an auga fucking face. It's implied that that's what's happening because she goes out of frame, but.
What's so funny too is that during this, Miguel, he goes down to the streets and he discovers the beauties of the Aztec people.
Right.
Of are they the El Dorado Doradians?
Yeah, I think they're just Colombians.
Yeah, right. So what follows is this montage that implies hours of learning and getting in with the locals and seeing the way that the people live. And then it cuts back to Tulio and Chell still at it, which implies that they have been on a marathon of fucking and sucking, unlike the world has ever seen.
Yeah, and good for both of them,
Sounds exhausting.
It does sound exhausting, especially thinking about how bad they smelled.
And how humid it was.
It was. They haven't showered in ages.
This boy was abandoned at sea.
Yeah, abandoned at sea. He's been wearing the same clothes for several weeks, I guess. Anyway, it must have been exhausting. But that whole sequence of Miguel going through and seeing like the beauty of the city was sensational.
Now, I've seen some criticism of this movie, right? That you have the two white guys come into this native village and they are treated like gods, that the natives are naive and taken advantage of and are portrayed as stupid.
Yeah.
I don't want to discredit that. I think that is a totally fair and valid criticism, and one that we're probably not equipped to really talk about that intelligently. But I do want to argue, I think the chief knew what was up.
He did.
I think he knew from the beginning.
And he didn't care.
He was down with it.
He was down with it. When there was like a scene where Miguel is like, this boat is like, it's too nice. And he, at some point, the the chiefs or they make a mistake. The chief and the priest, Shego Khan, make a mistake, and then Miguel says, "Oh, to err is human or whatever." And so basically implying that, we don't make mistakes, you guys do, so on and so forth. After, he's shown his humanity, Miguel, and loving the place, loving El Dorado, the chief builds him a boat, and he's like, "Oh, well, I can't take this boat because I feel like it's not structurally sound. I can't leave yet, blah, blah, blah," and all that stuff. And he says, the chief
says to Miguel,
to err is human.
And it's this little wink moment where he's like, I know what you are.
I know what you are.
You're a human. You're not a god. Everyone makes mistakes. And guess what? I see you.
Yeah.
And I love you.
And I love you.
And I accept you.
I don't care.
And you're welcome here.
Yeah.
That was the scene where I'm fully like, oh, these two are in love, canonically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're in love. They're going to stay there forever. Miguel and the chief are about to
do some stuff.
Rock that chifussy all night long.
Chifussy?
They're going to ride till you can't no more.
Yeah, I love it.
It is, but I do think that the chief felt like his people were being held under kind of this rule from Shego Khan, right?
Yeah.
Shego Khan was misinterpreting the gods to have this violent reign.
Right.
And the reading that I'm trying to take of this movie is that the chief saw this opportunity to usher in peace for his people.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's where because even when people talk about like, oh, you're depicting natives as people who are just going to believe that everybody is a god and whatnot, it was on the chief side, it did feel like very opportunistic, where he's like, okay, these are obviously just white dudes that just kind of stumbled in, so they've got a horse, that's cool. Those two riding this horse looks like our two gods, but also they seem like pretty chill dudes. Why don't I just use their image to make it cool to be here, like to chill to be here, so we don't have to be preyed upon all the time, which is fair. Also, sorry, non sequitur, he just had a straight up cigar. He just had the chief just had a cigar, like just randomly, and I was like, where the fuck did he get the? How the fuck do you know about cigars, big dog? Anyway, I never felt like he worshipped them at all, because he was also not one to bow. He never bowed or anything like that. He was just like, oh, I mean, it's just dudes, The rest of the people did, sure, yes, I understand that, but they stopped a volcano. What would you? If you saw somebody stop a volcano, what would you do?
When they first get to town.
Yeah,
I guess you call it town, right?
Yeah.
To the village.
The city square.
It's the city. It's a city.
Yeah.
When they first get to El Dorado, they start getting mad at each other, and there's a volcano that's about to explode as they're getting mad, and then Tulio yells, "Stop!"
Yeah.
And at Miguel, because he's annoyed with him, and the volcano stops. And so that is the moment that allows everyone to be like, oh, fuck, these are gods.
Goddamn. Yeah, this is crazy.
And by the way, I'd be on board too.
Yeah, I'd be on board. I don't feel like it makes the villagers seem stupid. I think that is the natural reaction to anybody of that time witnessing a miracle. And I feel like I feel like we all understood that. I understood that as a 9-year-old, so.
I hadn't seen this movie in a long, long time, but there is this one sports scene with the armadillo.
Oh, yeah.
That has remained in my subconscious for a long time.
They used to play that with a severed head. Fucking crazy.
What?
That was a real game. That was a real game, yeah.
So what is it? It's basically basketball with a sideways hoop.
Yeah, it's basketball with a sideways hoop, and it's soccer. You can't use your hands.
Right.
And you have to hit with your hips. They usually wore stone, like I don't even know what to call this, but like it was like a stone hip thing. You can kind of see it on the guys that were the pro ball players. It was like a black thing around their waist, but they would use that to like hip things and make the ball go higher, essentially. But yeah, that was a real game. And I don't understand how the fuck anybody could get a head through that hoop.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked Apocalypto a lot.
Yeah, that movie was like unfortunately sick. It's like so good.
Yeah, you just don't look at the director.
Yeah, just when it says directed by, just turn it off.
Just turn it off.
Turn it off right there.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fucking sick.
That whole scene was amazing. The armadillo coming in clutch, fucking incredible. That made me want to play soccer, and then I just couldn't run for long. Yeah. I
empathize with that.
Yeah.
It was a big struggle in my childhood as well.
I was like, I can't fucking. Once I get half a mile, I start breathing all crazy. It's gross.
I want to give a moment to the voice actors in this movie. Rosie Perez, first of all, I just
destroyed it.
I just love her.
Yeah.
I mean, she you can't think of her without thinking about her dance and Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
But she's had a great career, and she was recently in, was it The Flight Attendant, that Kaylee Cuoco show? And I just love that she's still doing it, still kicking it. It bums me out because I wish that this movie had been a bigger hit so that everyone had gotten residual checks forever. Yeah. Obviously, everyone in this movie has done fine. They're very famous actors.
Good. Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh doing fine. Kevin Kline, I want to highlight because he had as big a career as you could have through the 80s and 90s. He was in some really great films, but this was his cash it in era, and it didn't work.
Oh.
And so you have this movie back to back with Wild Wild West.
Oh.
And both of those are Kevin Kline, the great. His agents are like, hey, buddy, you've been doing great. You've been you've given all-time performances. Did he win an Oscar for A Fish Called Wanda? Maybe.
I have no idea.
He's so good in that.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up right now before I even continue. Yep. He won Best Supporting Actor for A Fish Called Wanda. That is one of the all-time great comedic performances. Also, like, to have a comedy performance win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie, Garrick?
No.
It is fucking unbelievable. I will rave.
Please.
That is some of the best character work in a movie you'll ever see.
Yeah.
All the characters, it's him, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Cleese, they all have these character quirks where you know how they're going to react in a given situation.
Yeah.
And then they put the characters in that situation again and again and again. And it is so fucking funny.
A Fish Called Wanda.
I will watch that with you tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But so Kevin Kline, it's like, hey buddy, let's get you paid.
Right.
Let's put you, we're putting you in the next DreamWorks movie, dude.
Yeah.
We are, because you know that DreamWorks as a company, this was led by Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Katzenberg, who later went on to make Quibi,
wrong choice. Yeah.
This is him and Spielberg, and I'm blanking on my other dude's name. They came together, they formed DreamWorks, and they said, fuck you, Disney.
Yeah.
We're going to take you down. There's a great book called The Men Who Would Be Kings, and it's about the whole formation of DreamWorks and their egos and their God complexes. But they thought that they were going to take down Disney. And so you see the machinations behind the creation of this film too. Like, we're getting Elton John. We're going to make our own. We're going to... Lion King? Psh, nothing. We're going to do one even better. Even that shot of them crossing the log with the waterfall.
Very Hakuna Matata.
I was like, oh, this is Hakuna Matata. If Hakuna Matata, they spent 8 months on that shot.
Right.
Like, it almost felt like them saying, again, hold my beer.
Yeah.
We're going to do you one better.
It definitely feels like there was, like, all of the DreamWorks stuff is, we're going to do a Disney thing, but we're going to have directors behind it to, like, actually create the shot list and like hand it over and like you shoot this board or whatever. So yeah, their their swings are way bigger, I feel like. And
so, but then it didn't work.
Yeah.
This movie it made $70 million, which is not great for an animated film. It was critically, I think it's at like 49 on Rotten Tomatoes. Obviously, Rotten Tomato scores for a movie that came out in 2000. Hard to really gauge, but the reviews were basically that it's predictable. The characters are kind of flat. The music's not as good. And then Wild Wild West, which we maybe will do an episode about someday, which was a colossal box office failure and critically panned. And so I just imagine, do I think that Kevin Kline is doing fine in his Bel Air mansion? Yes. Yeah. Do I think he deserves to own 2? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why not? Give Kevin Kline everything for this movie. I want this movie to be more culty. You know, I want this to reach cult classic levels of success, because I do think that the characters aren't flat. I do think that the performances are fantastic, and I do think it's stunning to look at. And
it's funny.
It's funny.
We haven't really talked a ton about the comedy, but there's good quips.
Yeah.
There is visual comedy.
Yeah.
There's one moment when they're first stranded at sea on this little boat where, you can tell that they're hungry, they're thirsty, and a little seagull lands on their boat.
Lands on the oar. Little seagull lands on the oar, and they're like, oh, thank God, food. The seagull like coughs up and dies on the oar, and they're like so happy. And then as they're reaching out to grab this seagull, a shark jumps out from the water, bites and eats the seagull, and takes the oar along with it, and then goes back under.
And it's just the staging of that is such good comedy, because it's not like a realistic lunge. It's just up, down.
Yeah, up and down.
It's
just
like
really quick.
An elevator.
Really, really fast.
There's one line when the giant stone jaguar is stomping through.
Yes.
I
know exactly what you're talking
there's
about.
There's this one guy who like almost gets stepped on.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm okay. And then he's crushed.
Yeah.
Which is a good joke in and of itself.
Yeah.
But then he immediately yells underneath the like, I'm still okay.
I'm still okay. Oh my God.
Just good comedy.
Yeah, that's I feel like that's classic shit. Like the I think I'm not okay, and then I touch myself. I'm okay. You can even see it in The Incredibles with Dash. After he gets shot at and he outruns the bullets or whatever, and he like falls down through the trees and shit like that, and he's like touching himself. He's like, I'm okay, I'm alive or whatever, and then he's like, woo, and then they find him, whatever. But I do feel like that joke is very classic. Almost like the Akira slide, like every animation.
Everyone needs to do their version.
Everybody needs to do that version of that.
I would love to know what was the first I'm okay smash.
Yeah, I want to know that one.
We're going to hit fun facts in a second, but this is kind of a good ramp up to fun facts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I was texting with the group last night. First of all, Kelsey watched this movie even though she wasn't going to be here.
Yeah, because it's fucking fantastic.
He just felt left out.
Yeah, it's sensational.
But I was the voice of Cortez, I was like, it's familiar, it's not familiar, but it's great. And who is this guy? And I looked him up, and it's Jim Cummings. And what if I told you that Jim Cummings is not just the GOAT, he's the GOAT of goats.
Yeah.
He has over 400 roles in his resume. He is a voice actor. This motherfucker, since 1988, has been the voice of Winnie the Pooh. Since 1989, has been the voice of Tigger. Since 91, has been the Tasmanian Devil. He played Darkwing Duck. He was Cat in Cat Dog.
Jesus Christ.
I sent this from Reddit. I don't know who this is from Star Wars, but it's a side-by-side of Winnie the Pooh and
somebody from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, someone from Clone Wars. And just the all caps, no fucking way underneath it is so funny to me.
Range.
There you go. Jim Cummings, one of the greats.
Yeah.
I bow in your presence.
My God. And then Cortez, although he doesn't say much, iconic voice. Iconic. Every line that is delivered, every time he's on camera, quote unquote, or on screen, it's always shot from like underneath so you can see how big he is and how huge he is. And then he just has this growling, deep, destructive almost voice. And to think that voice can also transition to Winnie the fucking Pooh is wild. It's insane.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I actually don't understand how
I don't understand it either. I don't get how. Oh my God.
Also, when people do that, when you're like, oh, I can be Winnie and Tigger.
Yeah.
First of all, fuck you. Who gave you
Yeah.
the right to be so talented? Second of all, leave some for the rest of us.
Leave some for the rest of us. You have 400 roles. Split those in two.
You can, what? You could just do them all?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just gonna do all the roles?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Eddie Murphy. It's insane. Like, and I feel like his voice isn't his voice. I mean, of course he can throw his voice to all these different, places and pitches and whatnot. But Jim Cummings as a voice, you're not like, I can tell that this is Jim Cummings' voice in the same way that you can tell like Sam Cullen's voice, the voice of Optimus Prime, where Sam Cullen is in.
Well, what's funny is that he's doing the Cortez voice is almost close to an Optimus Prime.
It is. That's what made me bring him up.
Yeah. Because at first that's who I thought it was.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm saying Peter Cullen. Jesus Christ. I said Sam Cullen because I was listening to an artist named Sam Cullen. Peter Cullen.
And you were thinking about Edward Cullen.
And I was thinking
of Twilight.
Obviously. I love him so much. I love how his skin dances in the sunlight. But Peter Cullen is the voice, of Optimus Prime. And every time he was in Invincible this last season. And when you hear his voice, immediately I'm like, why is Optimus Prime in Invincible? Why is he playing a spoiler alert Viltrumite? That's crazy. But
you said spoiler alert and then said a word that means nothing to me.
It wouldn't. But to the audience who watches the show anyway.
And it's like, and spoiler alert, he's a blabba-da-boo.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, man, that's crazy.
That's fair. That is very fair.
You said Vegemite?
Viltrumite.
Okay, sure.
So anyway,
I hear it's a great show.
It's fantastic. But it's really crazy that I'm saying all that to say that Jim Cummings not getting his flowers is wild.
Y'all ready for some fun facts? We kind of already, thank you, audience. Thank you, everybody. Oh my goodness. So, as we said, this movie did not do well at the box office. And unfortunately, this was the first DreamWorks Animation movie to not earn a profit at the box office.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was a bomb. This movie made less than it cost to make.
Yeah.
And now, like, usually movies don't make profit, quote unquote, because Hollywood does this insane math where, like, even Star Wars has never gained a profit. Like, they do this crazy
in order
accounting
to,
bullshit.
Yeah, it's like tax.
But this one actually lost money.
Yeah, okay.
As a result, there were sequels, plural, a series of sequels planned that had our boys Miguel and Tulio, along with Chell.
It kind of ends like that.
Altivo, and even the Armadillo going out into the world, chasing other legends, going after other gold. But thanks to the box office, they got scrapped.
Damn.
Never to be seen.
Fuck, because it ends on, not on a cliffhanger, but on a to be continued.
Adventure begins.
Yeah, adventure begins.
Adventure awaits.
This is our new core cast, and we're going to consistently tap this well.
I'm just gonna say this: if Spirit, Stallion of the Cinnamon, can get a sequel, 20 years later, can El Dorado.
Yeah, I like to believe that the Uncharted series is the spiritual successor to The Road to El Dorado.
Okay.
In my heart of hearts, because
the video game,
not the movie,
not the movie,
the game. I think the first one is you looking for El Dorado, or you finding El Dorado.
The road
or is it the
El Dorado?
Doesn't matter.
Do they play that song in Uncharted?
Maybe
that's where I know it from.
Maybe it's on the credits of that game. But yeah, they Nathan Drake chases urban legends, and one of them is El Dorado, another one is like the Fountain of Youth, but there's like a weird twist on all of them, and it's always fun and cool.
I'm thinking about Kenneth Branagh, who I'm sorry, I have not been referring to him as Sir Kenneth Branagh.
Ooh, he's a fucking knight.
If you're a sir, if you're a knight,
you gotta, you
gotta be.
Yeah.
I bemoaned that Kevin Kline wasn't able to buy 4 houses in the Hollywood Hills, but it's probably better that Sir Kenneth Branagh did not have a ton of. Wait, he was also in fucking Wild Wild West.
Was he?
He's the bad guy.
I saw that movie once on a dare.
The movie sucks. I hated it. He's Dr. Loveless.
Oh my God.
He's the dude in the giant robot spider.
Yeah, maybe they met each other and
they
were
just
like
fucking love each other.
Yeah.
What? That's weird.
Yeah.
There's got to be a story there. And those Wild Wild West came out first. This came out second. But the way that movies work, animated movies, that means they filmed them basically at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's blowing my mind.
That's wild.
That is a real-time revelation.
You know what? That's really fun if they were coming into the booth at the same time.
That is my next fun fact.
Oh, it is. Okay,
Usually,
actors
do not record together in animation. They record separately. But Kenneth Branagh and Kevin Kline recorded together.
Beautiful. I love that. That's why they get such good rapport with each other.
Well, they are both actors.
Yes.
I've kind of like underplayed, first of all, how great Kevin Kline was during his run in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But Kenneth Branagh that's a Shakespearean actor.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
He's amazing. But the joke I was going to make is that I'm glad that he didn't get that blank check for the rest of his life because he's just been making the shittiest Agatha Christie movies. That is his passion project.
Yeah, that's what he loves.
Which we should do some of those.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If we want to get our audience to be in their 40s, we should do those movies.
We always love playing the game of alt casting. So did you know that the armadillo was... No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
So
it's going to be played by Bowie.
The producers were looking at Antonio Banderas for Tulio.
Oh, okay.
Who refused the part.
Yeah. Because he was like, I think you guys have something better for me later.
Yeah. Talk to me in about 15 years when there's a little adorable cat.
A little cat that likes to fucking do puppy eyes. Oh, God. Good for him for having foresight and just being like, no, I'm going to keep you guys in my back pocket. Maybe if something else comes up.
Maybe he was like, I don't want a children's movie that even says the name Cortez.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
Fuck that guy.
That's fair.
Adam Sandler was also considered.
Wow. For
Tulio.
For Tulio.
Yeah.
Different.
Sure.
Yeah, different vibe. Yeah, different vibe. American.
I can hear we talked about the moment where Chell makes Kevin Kline go awooga. Mm-hmm. I can hear Adam Sandler's version of that in my head.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And then for Miguel, they looked at Dennis Leary and Jim Carrey.
Wow. Dennis Leary would have been cool for Miguel. But I like that Miguel was British for no reason
it works.
at all.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It felt right.
Yeah.
Also with his face, Dennis Leary's too great. He can't have a Boston accent.
Maybe. I don't know. I enjoy Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Do people shit on Dennis Leary?
Yeah.
They do?
I don't know.
Yeah, I hope not. I like him. I'm a fan.
Yeah. And then Cortez, they looked at Kevin Spacey.
Oh my God, that would have actually. That would have made this.
It would have been appropriate. They would have
made this fucking movie sing. Actually, looking back on it, it's like perfect casting.
Well, now is the time we have to decide: is this movie a pleasure, a guilty pleasure, or just plain guilty? Maybe we would have benefited in this talk from someone else in the room to tell us more about like any of the more problematic elements of it.
Yes,
but. God damn, I was watching this last night. I was great.
Stunned.
I couldn't believe how good it was.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was exciting. It was well animated. The voice acting was good. It felt like they don't do them like that anymore.
Yes, absolutely. It's a time past.
You know what? No one's here to stop me. I'm calling it a pleasure.
Oh, hell yeah. I call it a pleasure as well.
I can't not. It was really good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And also just thinking about the way that it's been cast aside by time, that it didn't perform well, that it was derided by critics. I think they missed it. I think they didn't realize how good they had it.
Right. Yes. And I feel like fucked up saying this, but in the wake of like watching Twisters, I feel like because they don't make them like that anymore. Now this like air of like kind of hoisting up mediocrity has then taken its place, unfortunately. But yeah, this movie fucking rips. It made my childhood. I still quote it to this day. Because it didn't do well, it also speaks to the level of like animation and the level of storytelling that was going on in the era around it, because it's just like,
yeah, if this is one of the worst,
this is one of the worst things, then fuck, man. Like that's what I'm thinking about with that. I'm sorry, I did enjoy Twist. I had a good time with Twisters, but knowing that this movie came out into the 2000s, didn't do well because everything else around it was a fucking banger. It hurts.
That's wild.
It hurts. It really fucking does. It's literally watching art get a little bit worse because the bottom end is the bottom line is much higher.
Well, you know what's crazy? I was just thinking about like Shrek. The first Shrek came out a year after this.
Yeah.
So it really was this transition period where Pixar was starting to take off.
Yeah.
You have the CGI movies and Pixar like creating art.
Yeah.
And then you have Shrek, which is about to come in and do this postmodern, meta, self-aware take on an entire genre. And DreamWorks is here saying they're fighting the wrong fight.
Yeah.
They're trying to do what Disney did in the golden age, and they don't realize that the world is passing them by. And so they're doing a great job at the wrong thing.
Yes.
And it's pretty fascinating. It's kind of sad. It's like watching the best shoemaker,
yes,
like a cobbler,
yes,
who doesn't realize that Nike's moving into town.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, fuck. Emperor's New Groove came out the same year.
Yo.
God damn. Yeah, okay. Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
This is like, I don't know why it's making me think of the inside of Llewellyn Davis when like he gets on stage and then Bob Dylan comes on right after him.
Right.
And it's like, sorry, bro. It just didn't work out for you.
It just doesn't work out for you.
But in this case, it's Miguel and Tulio getting off stage and then Shrek goes on to do his tight five.
Shrek goes on, fucking bodies them. Emperor's New Groove probably buried this movie.
I think that one also didn't do well.
Oh, it didn't?
I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, it's wild to think about that time.
Emperor's New Groove like launched an entire like Disney series and all that shit.
Yeah, I've heard of Emperor's New Groove and I've never heard of this.
Okay.
So I feel like it's got to be a little bigger.
Yeah.
Well, Emperor's New Groove, I think, gained appreciation over
Yeah.
time. And by the way, I'm looking at it now. It over doubled this box office.
Okay, cool.
Which is probably still, though, not great considering the time. I think we don't need to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
We didn't come prepared to talk about Emperor's New Groove. I'm sorry if we're getting the details wrong.
Oh, I can fucking talk about Emperor's New Groove.
My recollection
Don't
is
even
that
need
it
to
didn't
watch
do
it.
that well, and then over time, people said, actually, that one's great.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic. But like, yeah, I do think that this one like suffered. It's still a pleasure for me, but like it definitely suffered from just being buried by other things in the same way that Spirit was, where it's like, oh, this was fantastic, but there were so many other things around it or that came out that weekend that is just going to make you feel less than. And then also, it just truly can't harp on this enough. Just shows how much worse we're getting as far as making things. Oh God. Or allowing ourselves to make things.
And if you're enjoying this show, if you're here, if you made it this far, we'd appreciate you rating the show. It helps people find it. If you want to hear the show ad-free and early, we've got the new Tripods Patreon, so you can hear this show. Tripod, we're Guilty Pleasures. Yep. You can stay with us. We also have Fake Pod, which is the exclusive to the Patreon. That's really fun. Rainie is on the ones and twos over there. She's on the mic with Kaylin. Lots of fun guests. I pop in there time to time. Go check it out. Garrick.
Hey.
I'm at Corn Diddy on all things.
I'm at Garrick Bernard on all the things.
And I'm Kelsey Darragh on all things. And until next time, the road to El Dorado.
It's not even real.